my OP lab course, I have been given an opportunity to choose a project for which I have selected a simple TicTacToe game that is written in Java, which can be played in the console. So now let's move on to the next slide. So for introduction, we have here what is a TicTacToe game and why Java. Why did I choose Java? So TicTacToe is a classic two-player game. It is a simple yet classic game for two players. It is played on a 3x3 grid where players take turns making empty spaces with either a X or an O. The first player between the two to get 3 of their marks in a row, either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, wins the game. If all spaces are filled and no one has achieved 3 marks in a row, then the game ends in a draw. It's a game that's easy to learn but hard to master, and it can be surprisingly strategic against a skilled player. So why did I choose Java? Java as a language is powerful and versatile. If you write a code for one device, it can be run in other devices as well, because it uses a private yet secure JVM, Java Virtual Machine. It is an object-oriented approach for its clear structure, which shows that we can reorganize or categorize our code very efficiently, and we can debug it very easily. Also, Java has a large community and extensive libraries for all professional needs. It is a time-tested language which solves most of the programming problems and challenges. So now let's move on to the next slide. Here we have game board representation. So the data structure will be of our program. We need an one-dimensional array which has a size of 9, and each indexes from 0 to 9 will represent a cell on the board which will be empty spaces. Like here we can see, if you follow my mouse, this is the visualization which can be found in the IntelliJ IDEA console. Like here are the empty spaces which can be filled from user inputs. Now let's move on to the next slide. The core game logic of the game. We will have player turns which will prompt the player for their move, for which they can choose from 1 to 9 in the keyboard. Then next, the program will validate the input. If the cell is empty, then it will mark with either an O or an X. And if the cell is already filled, it will prompt the user for an invalid input and let him try again. The next core logic is the updating the board. It will update the array elements with the player symbol X or O, which is for 2 players. Then it will check for a win. It will iterate through rows, columns, and diagonals. Check if any line has 3 identical symbols. If they have the 3 identical symbols, then it's a win. Or checking for a draw. If the board is full and no winner, then it's a draw. Now let's move on to the next slide. Code breakdown. There are 5 key methods which we will use in our code to make the game work smoothly and functionally. First, we have initialize board, which sets up the initial state of the board, which is 9 empty spaces. Then the next will be print board, which displays the current state of the board. We are using a hash. We are using a dash for the edges of the board. Get move. This function gets the user input and validates it, like whether the move is correct or not, and should it update the board with or not. Then the next one is make move. This method updates the board with the player's move. The last one is game over, checks for a win or a draw. Now let's move on to the next slide. Game loop. The core game loop of the game is continuously alternates between players. Like if one player gives a new input, then it will give the second player a chance to make the next move. This iterates through until all the checks are filled, or whether the game has been drawn or someone wins. The next one is gets the current player's move, which takes the input from the console. Then next it updates the board, then it checks for a win or a draw. If the game is not over, then it switches to the next player. Demo. Now I will show you gameplay demonstration and highlight the key features and functionality of the code. So here is the code. If you follow my mouse pointer, like here I have in the first line import Java util scanner. This function allows us to import, take input from the user and store it in a variable. Then we have the public class TicTacToe, which is our main. Then we have two static characters. One is an array and another is a player. The static first character, the character array of board, has the value of 9, which will be used for making the board. Then we have the PSVM, or the main driving code, where we have initialize board, which will set the board up in the console. Then the next is which print board, which will display the board. These methods have their own functionalities. Then we have a loop, while loop. If it is true, then it will show, it will take the get move, and next it will call the make move method. Then the last one will be print board. If then it will check for is game over method, which is used for checking whether the game is on or not. Then if it is over, then it will break. And the last one is switch player, which lets another player take up turns. Now on to the next part of our code. While here we can see the initialize board method, which is used for creating the boards with empty spaces. Like here is the empty space, which is used for storing storing data from input from the user, like O or an X. The next one is print board. Here we are using dash to create the edges and lines for creating the bars of the board using a simple loop. Then the next one is get move method, where we scan for, we take input from the user and validate the data. If the empty space is already filled, then it will print out invalid move and try again. Then it will return the move to the board. And this is the make move function, which sets the move to the player, and this is the switch player move, where we check for whether it alternates between the player, basically, like the first person and the second person. Now the next one is game over. This method checks whether the whether the empty spaces have been filled or not, and whether the three similar marks have been made on the board diagonally, horizontally, or vertically, to check for the win. If the board is filled with no three marks of horizontal, diagonal, or vertical moves, then it's a draw. But if it is found, then it's a win for the player who gets to that. And here's my code. Now I will be showing you what it does in the console. So like if you follow my pointer, you can see that there are 9 empty spaces here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which are the array elements. Now if I now I have the move for the first player. Like if I press 2 here, and it will fill the second element of the row with an X. Now I have 2. Now it's turn of the second player, who has the mark O. Now I'm choosing 3. Now it fills the 3. Now I'll be playing the game for quite some time. Now I'll be blocking. It's a win for the 0. So this is my code. Thank you everyone.